A lot of us out there are huge fans of the Bomberman franchise, a long-running game series that basically has been on almost every single game system out there. And it's awesome. It's really fun. It's like a puzzle game and an action game, and it's just great. But one game came out in the franchise that was universally panned by game journalists and even longtime fans of the franchise. Bomberman Act Zero. Nobody, and I mean nobody, can find anything good about this game. So let's find the positives. The Bomberman series has always been a lighthearted, fun affair with lots of really good, bright colors, and honestly, despite the fact that you're running around in a grid throwing bombs everywhere, it's actually really nice looking. Take a look at this footage. See? This is how the game is supposed to look. But for some reason, the guys over at Hudson Soft and Konami decided to make a game that looked like this. I didn't know any better, I'd say that's a gimp suit. For some reason, they actually thought Bomberman needed one of those. And even the Bomber ladies in this game are also wearing gimp suits. This is some really strange BDSM stuff going on in here, which really doesn't feel like it's appropriate for children. So that's what is going on here. Regardless though, this game is worse for a couple of other things. One big problem being that there's 99 levels, and I defy you to find the difference between any of them, because each and every stage looks exactly the same, and you don't know how boring that can be. But let's say you get through all the 99 stages, then that's it, game over. There's nothing else. There's like a little text screen that pops over top and just tells you that you've escaped out of this hole. Cool. This game is pretty bad. Heck, don't just take my word for it. Johnny?
So yes, there's a lot to dislike in this game. The graphical look of this game is bland, it is boring, it doesn't inspire you in any capacity. Also, the character creation screen is so boring. It's split up by different colors that you can pick, and you think that you can change the look of your character, but you can't. All the characters look the same, but they're colored differently. That's the only change. Another hilarious thing about the game is when your character dies, it's this horrific, horrible scream out of your worst nightmares, and it will haunt you. I tell you, it will haunt you in the middle of the night.
You are dead. Every Bomberman game I've ever played that wasn't an adventure game has featured a top-down perspective that's pretty much become synonymous with the series. But for the first time in this game, they included a third-person camera perspective.
It has a 3/4 overhead view, but you can also switch it back to classic Bomberman view.
Now I know a lot of people seem to not like that perspective so much, but personally I found it really interesting. So the first positive is that this game has a new camera angle.
So one of the staples of the Bomberman series in general, it's always had fantastic control, and this game follows suit, incredible control all the way through.
It doesn't feel sluggish, it doesn't feel weighted, your character just moves where you need him to move, and the attacks and all the abilities that you have are very easy to access. So the second positive is that this game has great controls.
So I know this game gets a lot of flack because people think it doesn't play like a regular Bomberman game, but it does. The gameplay is excellent. It plays just like a regular Bomberman game.
Everything that you find in the game, all the gameplay elements, are just like a real Bomberman game that would have come out before this, and even the ones that came out after it. There's really not much here that changes too much in gameplay besides one thing that we're going to talk about next. But everything else about the game, the power-ups, the bombing abilities, well, all that is right here. This is just like an original Bomberman game. So the gameplay is actually pretty good, and it respects the series. So the third positive is that this game has good gameplay.
So I can honestly agree with most of you. The graphical style of this game is not great. It is not appealing in any capacity.
So the game's got repetitive levels, terrible graphics, and some sexual fetish that I don't even want to identify. But you know what it does do good? there's one feature, one weird feature in this game that for some reason just makes it right. This game has this one thing, and I love it, the life bar.
In past Bomberman games, if you got hit with one bomb, one explosion, it was game over. But now you have multiple chances to get your opponent. You can take multiple hits.
So the fourth positive is that this game has a really cool life bar system. At the end of the day, this game isn't one of the best out there. In fact, it's probably one of the worst, if not the worst, Bomberman game you could ever play. But as Johnny and I have looked at, this game has a couple of really cool features, and in fact, one feature, that life bar system, that really does stand out on its own. So, if you ever get the chance to play Bomberman X-Zero, don't. It's still pretty bad.